and welcome. Kendra Morgan here for TLC Designs. I'm excited to be back sharing a sneak peek of the project that I created for the TLC Designs February 2022 Mix and Match Instagram hop that's starting on Tuesday, February 15th. This hop will show how design team members use newly released products and combine them with older products. So today I'm sharing how I made this cute matchbook style handmade card using the Ben Bought digital stamp with the Sincerely Yours digital paper and the little stool from the Furniture Staples digital stamp set. Here are some of the papers from the Sincerely Yours paper pack. I'll be using these 3 prints here, and I've pulled out some matching colored cardstock that goes with the paper. Since this hop is about mixing and matching the different products, I wanted to pull in several different die sets. So I'm going to be using the inner rectangle die piece here from the Celebrate frame die set. And then from the oval lily frame die set, I'm going to use the 2 flowers. One is slightly smaller than the other. And then I'm going to be using the leaves from the double dial 2 die set. Now this is an interactive die set, which is really cool. You'll have to check out some of the videos that have been posted before. I've made a couple cards using this die set. But what I've done is I have taken the digital images from the Ben Bought set and I've printed it in different sizes, and I printed that onto some 80-pound Nina Solar White cardstock. And I'm going to go with the smaller one on the right hand side here that has the stool with the oil can sitting on top. And so I'm going to use that rectangle die to cut this out, and then I'm also cutting out the flowers and leaves using the colored cardstock. And I'm using this Melon Mambo cardstock, and I'm cutting it at 4 1/4 inches to make a top folding card base. Now for the bottom part of the card, to make this a matchbook style card, I'm cutting off a 1 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inch piece. And so now I'm scoring the card base at 5 1/2 inches. And then on this 1 1/2 inch piece, I'm scoring it at 1/2 inch. And then this is going to be glued to the bottom of the inside of the card base. But when I lined this up, I noticed that the smaller piece was slightly wider than my card base, so I had to trim a little bit off of the edge here. I guess I didn't cut my card base exactly in the center. But because the front flap of the card base is going to be tucked under this flap, I need to trim off a little from the front. I trimmed off about, I think it was about 1/8 inch, which really it needed to be a little bit more than that, more like 1/4 inch, because this one needed to be wide enough to be able to put staples in at the bottom, and I didn't leave myself very much room. So I'm going to put some glue here on the 1/2 inch piece, and I lined up the seam of the strip with the bottom of the card, and I attached that down. Now I will be decorating the inside of the card here shortly, but to finish making this look like a matchbook, I'm going to be using some decorative staples in my stapler. They're like a copper color, even though this is going to be covered up by the paper. And I'm just making sure to staple below where the front flap rests so that it will easily close. So I'm adding 2 staples, one on the right and one on the left. And I'm just pulling the flap down just to make sure I'm getting it in the right spot. So now that I know that it will easily close, here I'm just taking my ruler to measure what this piece ended up measuring after I trimmed it off. And I want to have the dark pink paper show just a little bit to frame my paper. So I'm trimming the floral pattern paper down to 4 inches by 5 1/8 inch. And then for the bottom strip, I'm cutting this to measure 7/8 of an inch by 4 inches. And then I'll be gluing both pieces down to the card base using some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. Now that I have this part ready, I'm going to take my robot image and I'm going to color him in using some Copic markers. Now I have sped this part up quite a bit, but I'm going to be using some Copic Classic markers in the neutral gray colors to color in my robot, and then I'll be bringing in some pinks and reds just to kind of pull in those colors from the pattern paper. You will see the different colors from the cap that I display here on the screen, and I'm going to play some music and I'll come back here shortly when I'm done. Now for the floor, I'm using a T-ruler to figure out where my line needs to be drawn. And I marked this with my pencil. And then I colored over it with an N2 marker. And then I just colored the floor below the line with N0. I didn't want the floor to stand out too much, so I just kept it a light gray. I wanted the focal point to be on the robot. And so next I attach this to the card using that same Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. And then for the sentiment, I used Always Yours, and I cut this out with a punch, and then I layered it on top of a rectangle strip of cardstock that's the same color as my card base that I made slightly bigger than the size of the punch. And so now I'm going to take the flowers that I cut out earlier, and I'm going to layer and place them in the top right hand corner of the card. When I went to put the leaves on here, I noticed that the leaves weren't exactly the right shade of mint green, so I decided to cut them out of some white cardstock and then color them with my Copic marker YG11, and that was the perfect shade. So I arranged the flowers and leaves the way I wanted them on the corner of my card, and so I don't have to pick them up one at a time to glue them down and possibly lose my placement. I'm taking a little piece of Glad press and seal that I cut into a square just big enough to fit over the flowers and I'm placing it directly over the tops of the flowers and leaves to pick them all up at once. Now I can apply the glue to the back and underneath all the pieces without them moving around on me. I just placed it back in the corner and then carefully removed the press and seal. And now I have perfect placement. And so for the center of the flowers, I decided to use these pink Starlight gems. I didn't want to leave the inside of the card plain either. And so after gluing these down, I decided to decorate the inside of the card. So here I'm just using that plaid piece of pattern paper that I trimmed down to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And here I'm just gluing that to the inside. And then in order for me to write my message, I used that same rectangle die that I used earlier, and I cut another piece out of some white cardstock, and then I glued this on top so I'd have a place to write my message. And then I had 2 extra flowers, so I decided to layer those up, and I put those in the top right hand corner. And so that finishes off the inside of the card, but just for the finishing touches, I did add some Nuvo drops to the oil that's on the stool just to make it shine, and that just kind of set off the whole card. I really love how this turned out, and I love how versatile all of the TLC products are. There's so many things you can mix and match, and there's endless creative possibilities here. So don't forget to check out our Mix and Match Instagram hop tomorrow, which is February 15th, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can have a chance to win a $20 gift card to the TLC Designs store for hopping along and for commenting. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button. And if you're not already a subscriber to this channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing. I will have a list of the products that I used to create this card in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.